Well, Alien Romulus is the 7th in the Alien franchise,
So
and that is
let's say not including the
that's not
Predatorverse.
including AVP. So Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien
Resurrection?
Resurrection, thank you. Prometheus and Alien Covenant. So
Covenant. Okay, so that's
that's
7.
so this is the 7th, and then there's the two Alien versus Predator movies.
And I think you should mention where this one takes place.
Yes, so this one takes place 20 years after Alien. It is actually like really interesting for someone who's a huge Alien fan like me, um, to kind of see where that goes. And I don't really want to let that out of the bag right now because we are going to get into spoilers later. Because I want to get into the details with you because I don't know if you know everything, and
Probably not. I'd like to
I'll
hear 'em.
probably nerd out a little bit, but they did some interesting things there. So yeah, apologies. This is starring Kaylee Spaney, like you said, who plays Rain, and she was in Priscilla and Civil War just a few months ago. David Johnson, Archie Reno, Isabella Mersad, Spike Fern, and Aileen Wu, and that's the 6.
Yeah, Eileen Wu. Yep.
Yeah, Eileen Wu. So that's the 6. Basically, the only characters. We open up there on this mine. Sorry,
who directed it?
Oh, Fede Alvarez. Thank you.
And he's the director of.
He is the director of Evil Dead and
Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe.
Two movies I liked a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess he wrote it and produced it.
Yeah.
And directed it. So he had quite a bit to do with this movie.
I love that original Evil Dead. So I had high hopes, and
yeah, and the trailers were good for this. I think I went back and watched them.
I think they were. I tried to avoid the trailers, but they were good trailers, I thought, and they really made it show that this is a horror film. I think this is more horror than any of them. Alien is the scariest, like the most horror genre, but I think this one you get more scares. Like nowadays, like if someone like our age sat down and watched Alien, I don't know if they'd be as scared as they would if they were watching
because that one's more suspense and just different. Because we don't see an alien in that first one until way into that movie.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So this starts off on a mining planet, and there's a girl named Rain, Kaylee Spaney, and her quote-unquote brother, played by that David Johnson, and he is great, but we'll get into that. And we find out he's an android. He's got some issues. He's not like a fully functioning android. I think it's like her ex-lover, or maybe they were dating, and then he has a brother, and then there's he's dating a girl, and then there's another girl.
We have like six characters.
Yeah, and they are stuck on this mining planet where you have to like put in so many hours, and then you're free to go.
They're like indentured servants. It's like slavery almost.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, exactly. Now, both her parents died working there, and her friend has this idea to take this spaceship up to this floating space station that has been abandoned and derelict and left for dead, and they want to go basically rob it of its cryopods.
So they can get somewhere.
Yeah, so that they can sail off into the blue sunset and to a better planet. And so that's the main story here.
Yeah.
So why don't you start? Because I need to drink of water.
Okay, yeah. So I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I went in with probably medium expectations, and I liked this one a lot. I like this better than Covenant, maybe as much as Prometheus.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I think it was really effective with the scares and the tension. Seeing it a second time today, I noticed just how tense I was through a lot of it. I think they could have ended it a little better. They could have cut off the last like 15 minutes and been okay. There's a place where you kind of get to a place where you're like, okay, we're safe, and then there's like oh shit, no, we're not. And I think watching it, like seeing it a second time today, I think they could have cut it there, but I can see why the director wanted to do what he did. If you guys remember Don't Breathe, and one of the most disturbing scenes in that movie, I don't know if that's what he likes to film or whatever, but there's kind of a parallel-ish to that scene in this movie. I thought the production...
But I really want to dig into that later.
Okay, yeah. When we talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
I thought the production design was pretty fantastic too, and that I mean the old computers, The sets they were on looked like the old ships, and they have a very like tactile feel that felt real. They looked like they were on real sets. And I think it's cool to mention that this was made for 80 million, which is the same budget as the creator. So with it only opening at 40 million, it'll probably do okay. If this had ballooned to 120 or 150, then they'd have some problems. But yeah, man, I thought it was really, really pretty scary. There's a couple jump scares that didn't really bother me. Usually they do. So they didn't bother me. And then, the big, like one of the biggest things for horror movies that I don't like is when characters do things that I think real people wouldn't, or they're stupid. But I didn't really notice that in this. The characters were like kind of acted as they should have. So yeah.
Yeah, the character. See, and I've talked to some people who kind of felt the opposite, that the characters were
dumb,
did some dumb things, but I didn't think so. I felt like every situation they got themselves in was natural. And I mean, there's a couple points where, like, I'm gonna go back, and in your mind you think, okay, well, that person would have done that. It's a heart thing, right? I got to go back and do this, or
yes,
I can't lose,
leave this person behind.
Yeah. And there's some really, really, like you said, there's some amazing set pieces. This Alien movie is a love song to every single Alien movie that came before it. It has a little bit of all of it here. And I think it could have reached higher heights if it didn't rely so much on fan service.
Agreed.
They
quote things that from other Alien movies. There's some visual elements, I'll leave it there, as from other movies, which you didn't need. But man, I'll tell you, my audience today, like, they cheered at one of the quotable lines, like,
me too,
"Leave her alone, bitch," or something.
Yeah, I did too.
They cheered, and I'm like, oh, come on.
I mean, there was a couple moments in the beginning where I was like, oh my god, they're doing this. Not the beginning, but, like, once the story gets going.
Yeah.
But then, there was I was really tense. I was really scared. And there is actually a seventh character that we will talk about.
Okay.
That kind of comes into this, which was a surprise. And some people are a little upset how they're doing that.
Yeah, I've seen people pretty polarized about that
it's
character.
Not the best CGI. You can definitely tell. But yeah.
I also wanted to see what you thought about, before we get to spoilers, let's talk about casting and these characters.
For sure.
So these are all pretty younger people in their early 20s, it looks like. And the only, I have a minor quibble with Kaylee Spaney. She's the lead actress in this, in that she's no Sigourney Weaver. She's very thin, small, demure. And so, yeah, she did a fine job. She can emote, she can act, but she's just not a badass like Ellen Ripley was, right?
I liked her, and I've liked her in her two previous roles we've seen her in, but she wasn't a standout at all in this movie. Whereas David Johnson, who played her android brother, sorry, I knew you were kind of heading there.
Yeah,
but he was our standout, right? And
definitely.
she was definitely kind of a Ripley stand-in, kind of, and there's even that one shot you see in the trailer where she's this close to the alien, where we've seen before Ripley doing the same thing.
Yes, and with her face turned to the side and the alien here. That's like one of the posters.
And there's several moments where she's basically imitating something like Ripley did, or there's a shot once where she has her eyes closed and just like her lips like slightly parted and it's coming down the side of her face, and I'm like, oh my god, that looks like Sigourney Weaver, like a young Sigourney.
Yeah,
it was shot really well as well. I apologize. You wanted to talk casting, and I'm
no. I think that's all I meant to say. Just to mention, David Johnson was really good. He, as the android. The androids are like the best in all these movies, because Michael Fassbender's so good in the last one. And Isabel Merced, there was just a couple moments where I thought, man, I think a character in that situation would be way more distraught. Although there's a couple scenes where she's really broken up. So overall, the cast is just fine.
Yeah.
They're just fine.
The two brothers were okay. I heard some people even in my theater complaining they couldn't understand. Like, what do you say? What does he say?
There's something in the water.
Yeah, because they're very British, like Old English or whatever. But
overall, I really enjoyed this, and I'm glad I got to see it a second time. I think it's one of the better ones.
To go,
it's way better than Resurrections.
Yeah. I would put it I'm a huge Prometheus fan. So, like, I would like to put it between Aliens and Prometheus, but I think ultimately, at the point I'm at right now, is it's fourth
Okay.
after Prometheus.
For
But
me, it would be 3.
yeah,
Aliens,
so
Alien, then this one, then Prometheus.
yeah, a lot of people are kind of putting it there, except for the. Well, let's get into spoilers.